A very big Hytale feature that people don't talk about very often is back gear. From an expanded inventory to underwater breathing and even flying, there are many back items that'll assist players on their journey through Orbis, so stick around to hear about each of those. At the end of the video, we will also dive into your enemies' backpacks, and you won't want to miss that. Let's get into the facts about back gear, which really there aren't any. We have this concept art outlining ideas for back gear, but as it is concept art, they are not guaranteed to come to the game. The ones we have seen from this image in-game are backpacks, quivers, capes, diving devices, and back propellers, although back propellers have never shown up in Orbis, only in the Hypixel lobby. Also listed are jetpacks, mechanical wings, shields, weapons, parachutes, and faction totems. This concept art has a notable focus on air mobility, which is definitely for the Skylines, what we believe to be Zone 5. I expect to find all the flying items in Zone 5, or at least their crafting recipes, as my theory is that the humans fled to the Skylines at some point in history, either to escape a faction or to escape the Void, and now use flying items to move around. It would also explain why there are human outposts in Zone 2, but no human villages, at least ones that we know of. The rest should all be able to be crafted in one of the first 3 zones, and I expect that musical instruments will also be wearable on your back. I wonder if the back shield will allow you to block attacks from behind, more on that later, and if the faction totems will give you buffs, either directly or simply by making certain factions like or dislike you more. Now let's dive into the ones we have seen in game. Haha, get it? Dive? Because there's diving tanks? Unfortunately, no player known to be wearing a backpack or any other back gear has ever opened their inventory, so that's a dead end there. Some things to note are that capes, quivers, and backpacks can all be worn with armor, and it remains to be seen for diving gear and propellers. There isn't much to say about diving gear or propellers at all really. The functionalities are obvious, and they've been seen once or twice each, so not many times even in game. Capes are also a bit of a dead end. I wouldn't be surprised if some capes were purely aesthetic, and others may give magical buffs or special effects, like slow falling, but we don't know anything about them other than that they exist. Backpacks and quivers have been seen a lot more in-game. I was trying to figure out if quivers were simply shown when a player was carrying arrows, or if they had to be crafted by a player. My first question was to see if there was one quiver model or many, because more than one quiver would mean that you would have to craft the quiver, and sadly it's only one, so nothing can be learned there. Although really, having more than one type of quiver would be absurd. My next goal was to find a bowman without a quiver, and I found 2. First, this dude from the trailer hasn't got a quiver, although he's carrying a crossbow so it might be different. And second, this outliner hasn't got a quiver, so they're probably craftable items with some form of side effect, but we don't know what the side effect will be. My hope is that quivers allow players to cycle through different types of arrows, which has been a wish of mine for Minecraft for a while, because in that game there is no way to switch between the many types of arrow quickly, which is disappointing for combat. Hopefully there's a radial wheel to pick arrows, assuming there are different types, but I mean, there's gotta be different types of arrows, right? Elemental arrows, bomb arrows, and comically large spring arrows that bounce are all ideas I thought up in 10 seconds, so surely Hypixel Studios could think of a few more. My investigation into this idea led me to backpacks. Yet again, every backpack has the same texture, although I can say with 99% certainty that you will have to craft these. My goal was to determine if the radial menu controlled by X was only in place when a player had a backpack on. A quick skim through the screenshots with UI on the Hytale website left me no results, because I'm reasonably sure none of the photos are from after the wheels were added, but nothing contradicted my theory, so I continued looking. Next, I went to the radial wheel videos themselves, and lo and behold, Propsy does have a backpack in this one. Third person is never shown on the other disappointingly, nor is it shown in the Pooh video, which also has the 2 off slots. In this VFX demo though, the X slot is grayed out, and we don't see a player, so again nothing can be learned except that it is possible for access to the X slot to be blocked. It appears that quivers are in fact optional, but we have no idea about their functionality, and backpacks also show us nothing about what they do. I don't have a lot of faith in my X slot theory, because everything we've seen in that slot so far has been a healing item, so I think it's rather a fast track to your healing item slot, which would explain why the player in creative mode did not have the healing items, but still, it isn't proof against it. Now we get to the bonus mob backpacks I promised. If you watch Goblins, the funny guys, some of them have backpacks full of bombs. These bombs are lit. They should, by all means, be seconds from exploding everything around them into bits, including the goblins themselves. But somehow they don't. The mining goblins from this dungeon in the riot trailer also have backpacks, although they look more like crates due to the blocky texture. I don't know if that's intentional or just a side effect. And I just noticed that this goblin here also has a back shield on, which is the only time we've ever seen this. I can't tell if he has a chest plate on or not, and if he doesn't, I would guess that it can be used to block in place of a chest plate, so you take more damage from the front, but no damage at all from behind. Or maybe it is just purely aesthetic and does not have any function at all. Back items are pretty cool. I really want to learn more about them, because every concept beside the dive tanks and the parachutes is pretty interesting. If you enjoyed watching this particular piece of investigation into Hytale, jump into the backpack of my channel by hitting the subscribe button. And until my next video, have a great evening, morning, afternoon, or night, and stay happy.